Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and I'm a psychologist specialized in emotional binge eating, and today I want to tackle a very important topic, which is the topic of recovery. Now, most of the people think that we have to recover only when we are diagnosed or when we are hospitalized. But I'm here to tell you that in most cases, a lot of people will go undiagnosed, or you will not even, let's say, quote unquote, see physically on their appearance that there is any issue regarding food. And that is the problem of today's society, that when you go and visit your doctor, he will tell you to step on the scale, he will measure your body fat, he will say what is your BMI, and based off of that, they will make a conclusion that you actually don't have an eating problem. Like so many people, I was never diagnosed that I was binging and then restricting. And for that, I never felt, quote unquote, sick enough. So first of all, you are never going to be sick enough to seek for help when you are trapped in the problem of any type of eating disorder or distorted relationship with food. That binge restrict cycle was just a proof to me that when I binge and I do something bad, then I do something good by restricting and eating clean and exercising. So I never felt that there was a problem. I just felt that now I do a little bit of this and then I go back to normal ways of eating, which were not normal at all. So in that sense, your distorted relationship with food or your eating disorder keeps you in this safe bubble, and it always keeps telling you it's now bad, but it will get better. It will get better. You will be better at this. And that's exactly where I was and where many people were in my shoes also, that you don't feel, because of your appearance, because you are doing sometimes the right things like eating a little bit better or exercising, that you're actually doing the right thing. But in the case of most people, this is a mental problem that just reflects on the body. So you're totally entitled to be able to seek for help when you feel that your relationship with food is becoming too obsessive, controlling, out of control, that you are either super restrictive or you're binging or you're jumping between different diets and just totally unaware of what your body wants and what your body needs. So when you decide that you need help, here is what can happen, and it's not something which is unusual. So in the case of restricting and binging, I would say that there are two aspects. The first aspect is you need to stop restricting, because that leads to binging. What does that actually mean? That means that you need to have 3 structured meals per day, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then you can include a snack. But you need to have them. You have lost your hunger and satiety cues by being on so many diets and pushing your satiety away and binging, or pushing your hunger cues away by not eating. So in the beginning, preferably at the same time, you need to have 3 meals and some snack. And how those meals need to look like, they need to look like where you have nutritious foods on the plate, but also your, what I would call fun foods, maybe not the healthiest foods like nutrition wise, but those that normally you would binge on. So for example, if you are like saying that, you like chocolate, have some chocolate after lunch. Or if you have, a craving for chips, have some chips next to your salad or on the salad, like a crunch. Just include them so that you will have a feeling that you're not restricted, but also that you will not think constantly about those foods, how you want to binge on them. What you give to yourself, you will not binge. You will only binge on the food that you keep restricting. So besides the food, there is the mental and emotional part as well, which is part of the recovery. And that is absolutely paying attention to the triggers that always trigger the urge to binge. And that can be literally anything, like, people can trigger you, messages can trigger you, the scale can trigger you, old photos can trigger you, food can trigger you, people making comments on your body can trigger you. You need to write them down. And you need to write down, how do you feel each time when someone triggers you? What is the emotion that kind of goes overboard? So I would say writing down the triggers, writing down the emotions, and then working through the emotion. If someone made you upset, then the question is, would food now solve the problem of being upset? Or will I be even more upset if I eat the food when I'm not hungry, So I feel physical discomfort, and yet I didn't solve the problem. You need to sit in the moment to understand that food is not going to solve the problem unless you're physically hungry. And it's a practice. It's a practice to recognize the triggers. It's a practice to understand the emotions. It's a practice to act differently other than eating. But in order for you to do that, you need to actually stop and acknowledge what you're feeling, because most of us don't acknowledge. Most of us are like, something is up, and then you start eating. And that's why you don't have this pause where you can actually understand, okay, I feel upset now. Will the food help me or not? Let's assess this. And trust me, while you are assessing, the urge to binge will diminish, and then it will go away, because the urge doesn't actually last that long. Another part in the recovery, besides the triggers, besides the food, is also understanding that you will have moments between semi-recovery and full recovery, okay? So the semi-recovery is where a lot of people are in that kind of pool. So semi-recovery means that you're allowing yourself different foods, but only, for example, at different times or different occasions, or certain amounts of foods. And that's still what we call mental restriction. And most people are not aware that those are keeping you from recovering fully, but also those can lead potentially to binges, and you're not making the connection. So when you say, I can have pizza but only once a week, or I can have half of the muffin, or I need to, burn off this food, or I had pasta for lunch so I cannot have it for dinner. When you're constantly negotiating when you can eat something, how much you can eat, those are mental restrictions. So it means that physically you're not restricting, but mentally you are. Pay attention. If you want full recovery, pay attention that you are not stuck in the mental restriction, which is very, very common, but you don't even notice it because you are taught by the diet culture that it's not okay to eat, 4 slices of pizza. You can have one, or that you don't need a whole muffin, or that, you don't need the cake, or that you need to burn off those calories, or that you will gain weight from the donut. All these kind of messages. So pay attention to eating regularly, triggers, and mental restrictions if you want to get to the full recovery of ending the restrict binge cycle.